the moment you start protecting yourself, it starts getting better from there. And there's ups and downs in the journey of healing, but in the big scale, it's gonna be up for the most part. And I just hope that people can find the safe space to heal, because it is not easy. Um, yeah, and I appreciate you, Yuda, for giving me the space, and for everyone here today who gave me so many positive comments. I don't think you guys realize how much I'm going to take that with me and let it really build for me. So I really, really appreciate everyone today.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. What's up? What's up? What's up? This is your girl Yuda K Best, and you are watching and or listening to Hello Random Radio, where positive energy lives. Thank you so much for your time and attention. Today we are here because of the Soul Shifters fashion show that is coming up on February 22nd. Is that at McNichols, Lauren?
The McNichols building, the Civic Center building in Denver.
Awesome, awesome. And my guest today is the beautiful model, dancer, and survivor, LC. How are you doing today?
Good, not too bad. It was supposed to snow here, but I didn't see anything.
Yeah, I saw a lot of things talking about snow too, but I don't see anything on the calendar. So that's kind of exciting because my judgment is the energy that I'm carrying. I will need to get out and run.
Mm.
I think I'm gonna need to run today. Do you are you like paying attention to current events or anything like that at all?
Yeah, as I try not to do too much, but try to stay in the know. It's been definitely not a lot of positive things happening. So I try to, be aware of what I can help with versus like what brings me down at the same time, because there's just so much negative changes that have happened.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of in the same place. I haven't really watched the news um, maybe since the 90s. Um, so yeah, but definitely we're in a place and I feel like there's so much happened just this week. Like I feel like every week there's been something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I host these community meditation sessions. Just 30 minutes. We jump on Zoom and do a 5-minute meditation and talk about current events or whatever. And my very first one, which is at 7 a.m., I do 7 a.m., 9 a.m., and 6 p.m. Mountain Time. And the very first one, they were just talking about, um, the Trump stuff. There's been a plane crash. I
Yeah.
saw that, the DEA has raided a couple of places. And I feel like I've experienced the day already. And this is the beginning of the day.
Yeah, it's been impressive. I don't know if that's the right word to see how much Trump has gotten done in the first week.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
It's
does make
wild.
me scared for the coming years.
Yeah. I think I'm pretty good at not getting scared. I
Mm.
do get very emotional. That's what's been happening. Like right now, I could totally cry. Especially with the DEA stuff and the plane crash because I'm sure, there are gangsters. There are gangsters in almost every culture,
Yeah.
but this whole, when I see those headlines about the Venezuelan gangsters, it makes me feel like it's the boogeyman.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't really seem real to me. It almost feels like they're lying.
Yeah.
So it's just been a heavy morning, but I like how you said that you like to be aware without, being inundated, or recognizing when the news or whatever is going on in current events is starting to have a negative effect on you.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely something I've been working on because, I don't think humans have evolved yet to keep up with how much technology has evolved. So we're not really used to being able to see everything that's happening around the world all at once. And so I definitely catch myself in moments where I feel stuck that I can't do anything, and then I, just go to a really negative place. And so then I've had to realize, hey, like I still need to be able to take care of myself too. That doesn't help anyone just to cry in a corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to go that far. I do think that uh it helps us. It helps me, to go in the corner and cry and get those emotions out instead of trying to bury them or ignore them. But I do hear you, when you say, as far as like collective, and really on the second meditation Zoom that I had today, like we talked the whole 30 minutes, about current events, because both of those people on that Zoom are, one of them is a grant writer for the city of Arvada, and the other one owns a nonprofit called Consumption Literacy Project. And so on that, we just really talked about strategies, for community building, and, how to not be overwhelmed by what is happening. And it's just so beautiful. I feel so blessed and proud of my intuition to start these circles, in my judgment, right before the shit hit the fan.
Mm,
But in that second call, that's what we talked about. Like, this is going to push us back into community. We
yeah,
cannot survive this nonsense without support from our people, without intentional support and healing and information sharing and all of that. So, yeah, it's really beautiful, 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 that my judgment is that perhaps unintentionally, many of us have created these community spaces where we can heal and grow together and face these issues together, instead of trying to do a lot of this by ourselves, which I think, can be the tendency,
for sure.
is to kind of isolate when things start getting wild.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I,
On that note,
yeah.
can you tell me a little bit about, the soul shifters? What's it about, and what it means, and how it has been helping you?
Yeah, for sure. So, thank you again for having me here to just share about Soul Shifters. Um, it's definitely more of a movement than just a fashion show. The fashion gala that's coming up in February 22nd is kind of a collaboration between Natasha, who is the founder of a nonprofit called KOSM Triggered Futures, and a collaboration with Nino, a designer based in Denver. Um, she goes by Geo in Style. And this fashion gala is kind of like this huge win win for everyone involved and for the participants for the participants and the people that come to watch. We're raising money to put back into the community. Natasha is, very much boots on the ground type of woman. She is always out there trying to feed the homeless, give haircuts, massages, do whatever she can. So very inspirational. And then Nino, who is a designer, has graciously is working with her to pull this together. And also hypedreams.co is also a producer in this event. And I just got off the call, the marketing call yesterday, and it's just really exciting to see the scale they're putting this at. They brought in Kenny Koss to host. He is a celebrity stylist for, I mean, his list is massive, like Diana Ross, Kobe Bryant, Tina Knowles, Cardi B, just names that, that everyone kind of knows. And, they're bringing in some crazy vendors. There's going to be like tattoo artists. There's going to be like classic cars out there. There's going to be a whole red carpet. So it's a win-win for kind of everyone involved. And and what's kind of different too, I mean, it's just an event that's so different on so many different scales. But what I found very interesting is that they really want to highlight the models, whereas in most fashion shows, the models are there to highlight the designers, but she really wants to highlight the models and kind of do everything different and think outside the box.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, can you just tell us a little bit about you and how ended up connecting with the event?
Yes. So, long, I have like this whole long spiel, but
We got time. Take your time.
So I started off as a dancer, did competitive dancing for about like 15 years, went to college and studied dance, and then kind of realized the reality of the world hit me, and I was like, I have student loans. This isn't going to be able to financially support me. So then I went into the corporate world after graduating and trying to do professional work. I started off as an executive assistant for a fashion company and then worked my way up to a buyer. And then I saved enough money to support myself. I was in an abusive relationship, and definitely having that financial support for myself was something that helped me pull myself out of there. And I've been in kind of like the healing and reassessing stage of my life currently. So it's been 5 years since I got out of the relationship, and I'm still finding that, healing is going to be a long journey. I thought it was going to be like, 1 year focus and then I'll be done. But I've had to accept that it's a long journey, a long process. And through therapy, I found a lot of safe spaces and a lot of time and space to just kind of like figure out who I am, connect with myself again. And for me, modeling was something that it was something that was very scary for me to try. And it was something that a lot of people have told me I should try. And I was like, that's not for me. But in therapy, we kind of figured out like, hey, like if I get to the stage where I can try modeling, that would mean that I have connected with myself enough. I've healed enough. I've gotten to like, what's the word? Like a huge milestone for me. It's like a huge win that I've made it far enough to try modeling. And so modeling is kind of like the mental Olympics for me, because it definitely takes a lot of like using tools that I've learned in therapy and creating boundaries, working through negative self-talk and things like that. So it's kind of everything from here on out is just cherries on top. And so just being able to try modeling for me is is like, okay, I've made a milestone. And it kind of happened in a wild way, where kind of things just fell into place. I started playing tennis because of my husband, and we moved to Denver last year, and we started playing tennis, and I met Ketty Vani, who is an incredible Denver-based model. Denver-based designer, and she's also a model too. And she was like, "Hey, like you should try modeling." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, like I'm not ready for this." And she was like, "Okay, well, if you're not ready, why don't you come with me, and you can watch my pop-up shop for me while the Denver Fashion Week." And so I was like, okay, that's a cool way to just kind of be behind the scenes and see what goes on. And on the day of, she was like, "Hey, somebody dropped out. Do you want to walk?" And I was like, "Oh my God, okay." What? And I've been trying to work on, when an opportunity comes, I should just take it and try it. And so that was my first time trying it. And then from there, she was like, she's really good friends with Nino. And she was like, Nino is, trying to do a new show called Soul Shifters. And so she had me go to the casting call there. So this is my first real model job.
Right, because you kind of defaulted into the first one, but I want to make sure that I understand. So you had been talking to your therapist about having an interest in modeling before you even met the designer.
Yes.
Oh, wow. So to me, you manifested this.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow, that's really dope. I love that. I love that. So I know that you guys, like, they definitely are doing a wonderful job of creating the team and doing the marketing. What are some of like the unexpected blessings besides getting to model? Like, what are some of the things that have occurred,
Mm.
during this promotional phase that, has really like uplifted you?
So lately in therapy, I've been working on the negative belief that I can't trust myself.
Mm.
And so the whole process has kind of been pushing me to have to trust myself to jump into these new spaces that I'm not comfortable in. I mean, even this podcast alone is something that I am, never tried. This is a new space. And so it's the kind of like jumping off a ledge each time, and holding my hand and being like, I can do this. And then jumping off. And so for me, that's kind of like the reoccurring theme, is like, I can trust myself. I can trust, and that becoming more concrete.
Wow, that's dope. I mean, and you said it a couple of times there, which just makes me think of a mantra. Like, how long have you been practicing that mantra, and how many times would you imagine that you said it?
I can't count. So many times, and it still isn't 100%. So I need to do it a million more times.
Yeah. Yeah, and I asked because I definitely I've been on my healing journey for, you know, I'll say 17 years at minimum,
That's
and
amazing.
in 2020 during quarantine, one of my level ups came at the hands of an affirmation practice.
Hmm.
And I definitely, some days during 2020, I would, say whatever the mantra of the day was. Like, there were times when I would be saying it over and over again in the background of whatever else I was doing the whole day,
Mm, yeah.
and so I don't believe that you can really solve very many problems with your affirmation process, but I do believe that you can train the brain
Yes.
to refocus with your affirmations. And I just like to put it out there. It is a powerful practice, but it is a practice where you are saying these positive things like literally millions of times,
Yeah. And I
you
don't know
know.
if you've had this experience, but for me, it, it was, it's like every single time it feels different. It's like a new experience, even though it's the same phrase. And like, and then, I have different obstacles that I've had to kind of overcome, even though it's the same mantra, the same belief. So that I always found interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna do some quick shout outs to the chat here. So I want to shout out Sarah E. Bartow. Thank you so much for being here, Queen. Everyone, please follow Sarah E. Bartow. I'm not sure if you stream Sarah, but I do know that she's got a pretty cool YouTube channel. Everyone, please follow my sister, Melissa Don. If it wasn't for Melissa Don, this channel would not be as functional as it is. Melissa Don is wonderful support for me and a bunch of other channels, including the Roots Man's Garage. She is also a wonderful, wonderful graphic designer. So if you need any flyers or emotes or anything like that, please reach out to Melissa Don. Everyone, please follow my brother, Creative Rodriguez, also a wonderful graphic artist, animation artist, a techie. Like he's definitely got all the things cracking. If I missed anyone in the chat, please charge it to my game. Please charge it to my mind and not my heart. And you can charge it to the game. But I just wanted to look at a couple of comments before we get back into the conversation. And we were talking about affirmations and the affirmations practice. And Creative Rodriguez was talking about neuroplasticity and the fact that we can change the patterns that exist in the brain. But it is definitely work. It's not a snap your fingers or spend a year even and it happens. But one interesting thing, speaking of a year, that did happen, that my affirmations practice, I'm so grateful that I did that, because prior to that, I had heard, that over the course of a year, almost every cell in the body is replaced. And so if you stop or start a thing and keep it going for a year, at the end of the year, you're literally a new person.
Mm.
And when I heard that, it was people mostly talking about weight loss and things of that nature. So I always thought it was a physical thing. But after my year of an affirmations practice, at the end of the year, when I would get nervous or scared, my mind would start chanting affirmation for me instead of the doubts and the fears.
Mm.
And so that practice taught me that we're not just physically different at the end of a year of change, we're mentally different. And you really can change the mind that is normally designed to focus on the negative to focus on the positive. So that has been a really interesting thing to me. Sarah says, especially the part how it won't solve but can help retrain. Ashe. And then Stepping Out of Babylon says, it seems your skill set from dance to fashion buyer, surviving an abusive relationship, working through that brought you the perfect opportunity to move forward into modeling. Enough honor and respect.
Thank you so much. That means a lot.
I mean, and I assume that you agree. Do you agree that it's been a challenging path, but it seems like it's been like a very guided and protected path?
Yeah, for sure. I always say, like, things happen for a reason, but at the same time I wish I didn't, and I wish nobody had to go through anything abusive, but it definitely has. I've been grateful for the journey that it's pushed me along, for sure.
Nice, nice, nice. And I'm just trying to catch up with the track. Again, it's really moving, but mostly folks are talking to each other, which is beautiful. Oh, there's my brother, Professor X369 in the place to be. Everyone, please follow Professor X369. This would normally, today, our conversation, I would normally be talking to Professor X. He usually comes on every new moon and he offers like a new moon energy reading. And yeah, but today I wanted, this is my last chance because I'm really working to intentionally keep Black History Month with all Black conversations, except for Catch a Fire Friday. So I just really wanted to talk to you today, Lauren. So thank you, Professor X, for
Thank
understanding.
you.
And we are looking forward to having you back on the next new moon. But everyone, please follow my brother, Professor X369. And he says, we have hope these times because of people like you.
Thank you so much. I got booted, he said.
Oh,
Oh,
not booted, I would
actually.
say nudged. I would say just a little nudge to the side for just this 1 month.
Yeah.
But you know, so again, I asked you, and I hope you don't mind that I mentioned. Well, I won't mention your birthday because we didn't talk about that in advance.
We can if you'd
Okay,
like. Yeah.
so I did ask that your birthday, and I think it was January 6th.
6. Wow, you have good memory.
Yeah, well, I read playing cards, which are based upon the days of the year, and I know that your card is the Eight of Spades, which is the card of like power through work and through the world, like the way you show up in the world. And when I saw that you were the eight of spades, and then you were telling me a little bit about your path, you know, like I told you when we kind of did our little planning session, like to me, the eight of spades are people who often do have very challenging lives, but it's because they are meant to kind of show the world that you can not only survive, but actually thrive after, you know, these challenging experiences. Do you feel open to that idea? Can you see yourself like really maybe being a spokesmodel of sorts, or?
Um, it's definitely something I'm working through, but yeah, I could see it. There's definitely a version of me that I have envisioned where I do that. Um, I I think still being in the thick of the healing and reassessing part of my life, I still have a lot of negative self-talk that I'm like working through. But as I was prepping for this, um, I went through like a wave of emotions, and then I realized that I had kind of done something like this, not quite a podcast, but in order to get out of my abusive relationship, I was in it for 10 years, so a decade of my life. And I really leaned on my community to help me get out. And so I went to the women's shelter. I was living in California at the time, went to a women's shelter nearby, and from there got connected to lawyers that were working pro bono. And we were able to accomplish so much together. And my case had won a community award, and they asked me if I was willing to share my story to help raise more funding. And of course, that was something I couldn't turn my back on when I had taken so much from them. It was kind of, I felt like that was the least I could share back. And at the time, I think I was still so disconnected from myself that I didn't really fully process what I had done. I just kind of like went through the movement and executed. And it wasn't until I was prepping for this that I was kind of starting to process that experience of having done that. And I was like, oh, I've done this before. I've shared it before, that I can do this because I've done it before. And so I think this being the second time I kind of like really shared my story on a bigger scale, I think I'm hoping that I can continue to build confidence to share, because I've also noticed that Natasha, who is in charge of KOSM Triggered Future, she also shares that she's uh, survived an abusive relationship. And the more she shares to our group, I realize, oh, the more I feel confident that I can share. And so then that makes me think, oh, maybe if I share, it'll give other people more confidence to share, and give more power back to victims to become survivors. So yeah, hopefully,
Yeah.
hoping that I can continue to keep sharing.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm definitely looking forward to being a witness, to something of your journey. I actually, for those who are interested, I did have Natasha on the show probably around this time. Yes, this around this time last year. And that conversation that I had with Natasha is up on my YouTube channel. If anyone wants to follow me and check that out. And she is a really inspirational person. Like, and what I love about Natasha's story is that in the midst of her darkest days, she found her peace by helping others, and so she was just going through these really hard times. And, now she is at a place of where, she has offered food, clothing, haircuts, massages to hundreds at least, and maybe thousands at this point, of unhoused people in Denver. Like, she was never thinking about starting a nonprofit. She just wanted to help. So she just started helping. Every week she was doing this thing, or does this thing called Winning Wednesdays, right across the street from the Capitol building here in Denver. She just started organizing these events where there would be food and services available to the unhoused. And she was doing a lot of that out of her own pocket, and other people in the community saw what she was doing and helped her to start her nonprofit and to start doing the things that she's doing. But she was just helping because it made sense to her. It was never a business or anything of that nature. And so I just love her story is also a really beautiful, kind of serendipitous. Like, I didn't intend to start a nonprofit. I was just doing what my heart told me to do. And it has become, this big movement. So definitely shout out to Natasha, from KOSM. I really wish that I could remember what the acronym meant right now.
I don't have it off the top of my
Yeah.
head either.
But shout out to Natasha and KOSM Triggered Futures. Shout out to the Soul Shifters Gala. If you are here in Denver, Colorado, on February 22nd, I believe. Does the doors open at 4? Do you know? Or is that when?
I don't know what time. Let me see.
I'm pretty sure doors open for the public at 4 and it goes through until 7. But definitely, I'm sure if you just Google Soul Shifters,
Yeah.
you can find out information about the show. And I think it is going to be a really beautiful, you know, not just like a community event, but an event where you can really get dressed up and feel your best and connect with people, who are coming from a heart-centered place. Because I really do think that a lot of what is happening this year is happening to encourage us to get back into community and to stop trying to do things by ourselves. Like I was saying earlier, Melissa Don is definitely a foundational piece of this community. She found the link, and this is the link to buy tickets
Thank
to the
you.
Soul Shifters. So it's geoinstyle.com/event-list. Thank you so much, Melissa Don, for everything. You have no idea how much I appreciate you. Um, just looking back through the chat, I see Pakalolo saying service, unity, and recovery. And that's really dope. Stepping out of Babylon, community sharing, empowerment. And Professor X is agreeing with me, saying, from hearing your story, you really are on the path. Awesome, Dawson. Okay, so I want to take a quick look. Um, so can you tell us, some of the other things? Obviously, therapy has been a huge part of your healing journey. But what are some of the other things that have really helped you to start to feel like you're coming back to your center?
For sure. I mean, definitely the basics have been, that's a great place to start, which is, getting the right sleep, getting the right food, getting the right movement, taking care of your body, and then you can, it works itself back in. Um, and like getting enough sunlight too, that's something that was huge. And it didn't really feel like anything at first because I'm just so disconnected from myself. But like you said, that 1 year that really takes time to transform, the little consistent changes that you make, it really compounds. And after a year goes by, you're like, wow, that those little changes really made a difference. And then from that, movement with my body, reconnecting with dance. So, I haven't done any professional dance work in probably a decade at this point, but I found myself just kind of like dimming the lights in my apartment, turning on some music, and just kind of like let the music move my body. And I was like, oh, like, I was so used to taking classes where, I was following the teacher, and this time it was having my body be the teacher. And so that was really healing for me. Um, and then and then really looking for safe spaces, and and learning what safe space actually means, because if you're in an abusive relationship, I clearly didn't know what a safe space truly was. And so it was kind of like, oh, is this a safe space? Trying that out. Oh, maybe this isn't it. And then finding a new safe space. And is this a safe space? And then having therapy to just kind of keep me grounded and go back to it, to keep sharing the experiments I was kind of doing on myself. Um, and then also having a journal just to keep myself, you know, grounded, and having some place where I can kind of word vomit and not have to hold it in my body. That was also really, really helpful.
Nice, nice. And before you mention the book, The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer, and I've heard of it, but I don't really know much about it. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, I had a couple people offer the book to me. A couple of my friends, they were like, after I shared with them what I had gone through, they were like, "This is a book that kind of helped me, maybe not through an abusive relationship, but they were like, I think this could help." And the main takeaway I got, it's a self-help book, and the main takeaway I got from it was kind of giving yourself the safe space to watch the emotions that are happening, and not step in to be like, oh, I can't feel angry, or this is a bad emotion, and not labeling the things that are kind of going on, but giving yourself the space to see it happen and kind of like watch it as a third person. And especially after coming out of an abusive relationship, I found myself really, really triggered. So my therapist talks about this a lot. There's a window of tolerance that everyone has, and it ebbs and flows depending on what you're kind of going through. And for me, right after my abusive relationship, my window of tolerance was literally like a hair strand thick, and anything and everything was triggering me. And so reading this book, it kind of helped me to step back and kind of, instead of like, reacting to it in the moment, letting it happen, giving it the space, giving myself the space to feel every emotion. And so that was really, really helpful for me, and giving me little tools on how to do that.
Yeah. And when you say that you had like a really small, like a hair trigger, like what was happening for you? Was it just like you were being pushed to tears, or like what was your experience?
Uh, it was, I, my body didn't know what was okay versus danger. Like it didn't know what was safe versus danger. So it was just kind of like in a state of fight or flight and survival mode. So anything that kind of reminded me of my ex, or anything that felt like, you know, like even a loud sound was I felt like, oh my God, I'm in danger. I have to run. And so yeah, it was definitely a very confusing and tough time.
Yeah.
Yes,
Melissa Don.
slamming doors. Yeah.
Wow. I thought Melissa Don is she's kind of the community jokester sometimes, and I was thinking that was just, her talking about herself, but that's interesting that she called out something that is true. Um wow.
Yeah, the slamming doors, even like a slamming drawer was triggering for me. And that yeah, should have, it's just a drawer, but for me it was triggering at that time.
Wow. And I know that you had experience with both one-on-one therapy, which I would imagine is the majority of the time,
Yeah.
but you also mentioned group therapy.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what the difference is, and maybe how, like, what you like best about both?
Yeah, for sure. Group therapy, it's just an open space for, you know, a lot of individuals to kind of come together and share what they're going on, validate each other, um, and share tools that have helped them. Um, and so it was very, after doing a lot of individual therapy, I started feeling like I was alone. There was nobody that's gone through what I've gone through. And it's true, like, no one went through the exact same experiences I went through. But what kind of helped me heal to the next level was starting to realize I'm not alone. And so group therapy, the positive I took away from that was, I, there's other people out there who are like me, who have struggled, and they're okay. And we're here together, trying to survive together. And it was almost nice to have a place to go to every week to share. Like I almost wanted to share some, like a win, so then it made me want to work more on myself when the week leading up to the meeting. So that was good.
Wow. So it's almost like accountability too, like
Yes.
intentional accountability.
Yes, exactly.
Wow. And did your therapist suggest the group, or did you look for that by yourself? How did you find out about group therapy?
My therapist shared it with me that it was being held by a different therapist, but she was like, if you're open to it. And at that point I was like, I'm willing to take whatever. I'm willing to try anything. And so yeah, and the cons of it are that sometimes there will be an individual that will take the whole time and the whole
Mhm.
session. And so you never know how each session is going to go. But at the same time, there's always something to learn, is what I kind of came out of it.
Awesome, awesome. And you also mentioned that at the very beginning of your journey that you had to go to a women's shelter. Did you seek that out yourself, or did someone suggest that to you? Or
So when I went to file the police report, which, that in itself, I found myself struggling to go to the police. I think some people definitely like to shame or blame that, like, why didn't you do that sooner? And there's so much that goes into it before you actually end up at the front doorstep of the police. But once I did, he was very supportive and gave me a little pamphlet and had a list of different resources I could lean on. And so I just kind of like picked whichever one was closest to my house, and I kind of started there. And I was really, really thankful and impressed by how 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 supportive it was during such a pivotal moment in my life.
yeah, yeah, gotta get support. I don't know. This is kind of a subtle question, and definitely, I don't want to be triggering. So, definitely, just say, like, I don't want to talk about that, or I don't feel comfortable, or whatever. But, what would you say to people who want to kind of blame or shame the victim?
Man, I don't even really know where to start. I have never really thought about that, but there there's just there's so many things that even even myself, I think, before being in an abusive relationship, when I heard about stories, I thought the same things, like, why can't you just go to the cops, like? But there's I mean, it's so complicated. For some people, they 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 need to stay there for financial reasons. There's there's it's just so complicated. You really can't, you never know what someone is going through. And so to just put it point blank, like, oh, you should have just done this or just done that, like, it's just it's too complicated to say it's that easy.
Yeah. Yeah. Nicknames D says it's not
Yeah,
all that simple ever.
exactly.
Right. Yeah. And oh, it was here on Twitch yesterday. Shout out to DJ. I think it's Guy K UK. Yesterday was like his 3-year Twitch anniversary. And so I was on his channel, and he was saying, and we've all heard it, lots of people say it all the time, but I guess I feel like it's something that cannot be said enough. And he's just like, be kind, because you never know what a person is going through.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's true all the time. But I also feel like this year is going to be challenging in a way where we definitely want to lean on that idea of being kind, and maybe even assuming, that this person who you don't really know who you're talking to, who maybe is serving you your food or checking your groceries or just passing you on the street, I feel like it might be a good idea to almost assume that everybody that we encounter is going through some form of difficulty, so try to treat them the way you want to be treated when you're having a hard time, and just know that you don't know the answers for another person, you know.
1000%.
I'm going to step back. I think Stepping Out of Babylon had a comment here about the group therapy. She says, I've found group therapy in conjunction with individual therapy is an excellent healing process. Ashe. And
Absolutely.
and a simple smile goes a long way.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what are some other like events or high notes, things that are memorable to you, that really, are again helping you to find this center and to be more confident in yourself?
Um, uh, I think before I used to be very achievement based. And so, like, I had to achieve something in order to feel like I could be confident. But now I, I've kind of stepped into like the smaller wins, and that has been a lot more sustainable. And, and so for me, I think um, honestly the rewiring of my feelings to my emotions, and being able to find the articulate when I am feeling a certain emotion earlier than later, those have been my big wins. And so I get really excited when I'm able to, identify a new feeling, and identify it sooner than I was able to, because before I would have to wait until it's overwhelming and takes over my whole being, and then I'd be like, oh, I think I'm angry. And so now it's more like finding the smaller signs, being more connected, and those have been my big wins for me. Yeah.
Nice, 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 nice. Well, thank you so, so much for sharing your story and sharing your energy with us and with the world. And I am cheering for you and praying for you and excited for maybe the time, when you are a well known speaker, or maybe you are hosting your own fashion shows, or um, all of those things, any of those things. So or do you have any final thoughts or anything else that you want to say? I'm going to try to go back and find that link for the tickets for the gala.
Yep.
But yeah, is there anything on the top of your heart or mind that you would like to share, or maybe something that you would say to people who maybe are experiencing, abusive situations, but are afraid or don't know how to get out?
Yeah. Um, that's very heavy. I definitely want to say that things are gonna get better, and the moment you start protecting yourself, it starts getting better from there. And there's ups and downs in the journey of healing, but in the big scale, it's gonna be up for the most part. And I just hope that people can find the safe space to heal, because it is not easy. Um, yeah, and I appreciate you, Yuda, for giving me the space, and for everyone here today who gave me so many positive comments. I don't think you guys realize how much I'm going to take that with me and let it really build for me. So I really, really appreciate everyone today.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, we appreciate everyone who's listening now, who will listen in the future. I would say, please, no matter how it feels, maybe try to believe that there is something positive out there beyond us that really wants us to live our best life. To me, it's helpful to know. I personally know, and I get it that everybody doesn't know, and I'm not trying to force people to know, but it is helpful for me to know that there is something higher that is really trying to help us to have the best life that we possibly can, and yeah, I guess try to lean on that, is something that I'm compelled to say in this moment. Before I'm going to go look. So here on Twitch, we have this thing called a raid where we take everyone who's watching to another channel. So I'm going to start looking to where we're going to raid out to, but I want to look at these last few comments before I do that. Yes, Nicknames D says it takes guts to lay it out in public.
Yeah.
And that's true. Um, and Sarah is saying right back at you, thank you for sharing your story. She says that she feels like she came on the perfect day to listen. Awesome, awesome. Positive collective energy. She says, I send it out all the time too. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. So thank you again for being here, LC, and thank you everyone in the chat for your time and attention. Please copy the raid message, tickets to the Soul Shifters Gala, which is going to be a beautiful, beautiful community event and fashion show. It's going to be on February 22nd at the McNichols Arena here in Denver, right across from the Capitol. On February 22nd, I'm pretty sure from 4 to 7 p.m. I'm going to go ahead and click the button, and we are going to go to the Canary Islands to listen to some reggae with DJ Sue's sound system. And again, please support the Soul Shifters event if you are here in Denver, Colorado. February 22nd at the McNichols Arena. Tickets are available at geoinstyle.com/events list. And it is a wonderful event for a wonderful cause. They are helping to take care of the unhoused. And, I'm sure everybody knows that that is a huge thing. This is probably our last comment. Sarah says, I'll join again, Yuta. So glad I finally joined here with you. I'll be back. See you around. Thank you so much, Sarah. I definitely will see you around. Thank y'all so much for your time and attention. We have about 35 seconds left before we are in the Canary Islands. So I want to say thank you again to Melissa Dawn for all of your love and support. I appreciate you so much more than you know. Thank you to Stepping Out of Babylon. Thank you to the One Love Below. Thank you to Wise Up 713, the other moderators that are often here on this channel. Everyone, please follow my brother Nicknames D. Please follow Sarah E. Bartow. Please follow DJ Nick 10, DJ J Jonah, Professor X369. And I think that the raid is now complete. So I will say this has been another episode of Hella Random Radio where positive energy lives. I love you. I love me. I love us. Peace.